On May 22, 2011, Joplin, Missouri, a city of approximately 50,000 residents in the southwest corner of the state, operated under standard late spring conditions. The regional economy centered on healthcare, retail, and light manufacturing. The city's building stock consisted primarily of wood-frame residential structures, commercial strip developments, and several multi-story facilities, including St. John's Regional Medical Center. Joplin lay within a moderate tornado risk zone with warning systems managed by the National Weather Service office in Springfield. The community maintained standard severe weather protocols based on historical precedent. Tornadoes in the region typically tracked through rural areas or produced localized damage in urban corridors. No EF5 tornado had struck a Missouri city center in the modern warning era. Municipal planning and construction standards reflected these assumptions. Joplin occupied approximately 35 square miles in Jasper and Newton counties, positioned along Interstate 44 and historic Route 66. The city center featured a traditional grid layout with commercial concentrations along Range Line Road. Residential neighborhoods extended south and east, characterized by single-story homes constructed between 1950 and 2000. St. John's Regional Medical Center, a 367-bed facility, served as the region's primary trauma center. The city maintained 3 fire stations, 1 police headquarters, and multiple emergency vehicle depots. Building codes followed International Residential Code standards with minimal tornado-specific reinforcement requirements. Most structures lacked below-grade shelters or reinforced safe rooms. The regional power grid relied on above-ground distribution lines supported by wooden poles. Water infrastructure operated through a centralized treatment and pumping system with limited redundancy across the southern service area. Atmospheric conditions on May 22 reflected elevated severe weather potential across the Central Plains. Morning soundings indicated surface dew points near 70 degrees Fahrenheit with steep mid-level lapse rates. A dry line positioned across eastern Kansas provided a focus for convective initiation. Wind shear profiles showed 0 to 6 kilometer bulk shear values exceeding 60 knots, with strong directional turning favorable for supercell development. The Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate risk outlook at 1300 UTC, highlighting tornadic supercell potential across southwest Missouri and southeast Kansas. By mid-afternoon, a surface low deepened over central Kansas, while an upper-level jet streak approached from the southwest. Convective available potential energy, or CAPE values, climbed above 4,000 joules per kilogram. The environment supported long-track, intense tornadoes. By 1700 local time, discrete supercells initiated along the dry line and began moving east-northeast into increasingly unstable air masses. A supercell developed near the Kansas-Missouri border at approximately 1700 CDT. Radar indicated a discrete storm with a bounded weak echo region and developing mesocyclone. The storm exhibited classic supercell characteristics: persistent rotation, hook echo formation, and inflow notch structure. By 1730, velocity data showed mid-level rotation intensifying as the storm tracked east-northeast toward Joplin at 35 miles per hour. The mesocyclone contracted, with gate-to-gate shear increasing on successive radar scans. At 1734, the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for Jasper County, including Joplin, indicating radar-detected rotation and possible tornado development. The warning provided 17 minutes of lead time before tornado touchdown. Storm structure continued organizing with lowering cloud base and visible wall cloud reported by observers west of the city. The supercell maintained intensity as it approached the western city limits. Tornado touchdown occurred at approximately 1741 CDT, 4 miles west of downtown Joplin, near the intersection of 32nd Street and Indiana Avenue. Initial damage assessment indicated EF2 intensity winds as the tornado moved east-northeast through residential areas. The tornado rapidly intensified, expanding to a width exceeding 3/4 of a mile within the first 2 miles of its track. Wind speeds increased to EF4 and EF5 range as the tornado crossed Range Line Road at 1747, directly impacting the city's primary commercial corridor. The tornado maintained ground contact for 22.1 miles, traversing the entire south-central portion of Joplin over approximately 38 minutes. Maximum width reached 0.75 to nearly 1 mile at peak intensity. The damage path extended from western city limits through the hospital district, residential neighborhoods, and eastern commercial zones before the tornado lifted east of the city near Interstate 44. Peak wind speeds exceeded 200 miles per hour, placing the event in EF5 category. Wind loading on structures exceeded design thresholds for standard residential and commercial construction. Wood frame buildings experienced complete envelope failure. Roof systems separated at connection points, exterior walls collapsed, and debris became airborne projectiles. Anchoring systems failed in manufactured housing and poorly attached structures. Masonry buildings sustained wall collapse when wind pressure differentials exceeded structural capacity. Steel frame commercial buildings experienced partial or complete structural failure when connections yielded or columns buckled. St. John's Regional Medical Center, a 6-story reinforced concrete structure, sustained catastrophic damage, including exterior wall removal, floor system collapse, and complete destruction of upper levels. Vehicle displacement occurred across the damage path, with automobiles lifted and deposited hundreds of feet from origin points. Ground scouring removed pavement and soil in areas of maximum wind intensity. The tornado's width and intensity eliminated structures across continuous areas rather than producing isolated damage patterns. Electrical infrastructure failure occurred immediately along the tornado track. Above-ground distribution lines separated from support poles, eliminating power to approximately 20,000 customers. Transmission towers collapsed where the tornado intersected major distribution corridors. Water system damage included rupture of main distribution lines, destruction of pumping stations, and contamination of supply networks through debris intrusion. Wastewater treatment systems experienced structural damage and operational failure. The road network sustained blockage from debris fields averaging 3 to 6 feet deep across major arterials. Interstate 44 closed due to structural damage to overpasses and complete obstruction of traffic lanes. St. John's Regional Medical Center became non-operational, patient care areas destroyed, backup power systems damaged, and 183 patients requiring evacuation under active weather conditions. Emergency services faced immediate communications failure, with the loss of radio repeater infrastructure and cellular tower collapse across the impact zone. Emergency response initiation occurred at 1742, concurrent with tornado impact. Initial 911 call volume exceeded system capacity within minutes. Joplin Fire Department dispatch recorded over 1,500 calls in the first hour. Multiple fire stations sustained direct damage, eliminating vehicle access and equipment availability. Police and fire units responding from outside the damage path encountered complete road blockage, requiring immediate shift to foot-based search and rescue operations. Triage operations established in parking areas and intact structures on the damaged periphery. The loss of St. John's Hospital eliminated regional trauma capacity, requiring medical transport to facilities in Carthage, Springfield, and other surrounding communities. Search and rescue operations faced hazards including natural gas leaks from ruptured distribution lines, downed electrical wires, and unstable structures. Mutual aid requests activated resources from 120 miles radius. By 2100 CDT, over 300 emergency personnel operated within the city, but access limitations and scene complexity prevented systematic area coverage during initial darkness hours. The tornado affected approximately 8,000 structures across a 6-mile continuous path through Joplin. Preliminary damage surveys identified over 7,000 residential units destroyed or rendered uninhabitable. The population directly impacted exceeded 25,000 individuals within the primary damage corridor. St. John's Regional Medical Center sustained damage eliminating 367 hospital beds from regional capacity. Initial casualty estimates remained uncertain due to communication failures and dispersed triage locations. Confirmed fatalities reached 161 individuals, establishing the event as the deadliest single tornado in the United States since modern record-keeping began in 1950.
Injury totals exceeded 1,150 persons requiring medical treatment, ranging from minor trauma to critical life-threatening conditions. Displacement figures indicated approximately 8,000 to 10,000 individuals lost primary residences. Economic impact assessments estimated direct property damage at $2.8 billion, the costliest single tornado event in U.S. history to that date. The mortality rate concentrated in areas experiencing EF4 and EF5 wind speeds, particularly within residential structures lacking below-grade shelter.
Debris removal operations commenced May 23 with National Guard deployment and heavy equipment mobilization from regional contractors. Debris volume estimates reached 4 million cubic yards, requiring sorting, processing, and disposal. Temporary debris staging areas established on city periphery managed the separation of vegetation, construction material, hazardous waste, and personal property. Electrical service restoration prioritized transmission infrastructure, with full grid functionality restored to undamaged areas within 2 weeks. Water system repairs required replacement of over 50 miles of distribution piping and reconstruction of pumping facilities, with potable water service gradually restored over 3 months. Temporary housing support included FEMA trailer deployment and rental assistance programs accommodating displaced populations. The Joplin School District operated from temporary facilities beginning August 2011, with Joplin High School reconstruction completed in 2014. Commercial corridor redevelopment along Range Line Road initiated in late 2011, with phased reopening extending through 2013. The National Weather Service Damage Survey assigned an EF5 rating on the enhanced Fujita scale based on observed structural damage indicators. The tornado achieved maximum sustained wind speeds estimated between 200 and 250 miles per hour across portions of the damage path. Total track length measured 22.1 miles with continuous ground contact across Joplin's urban core. Maximum widths reached approximately 1 mile at peak intensity. The National Institute of Standards and Technology conducted structural failure analysis, documenting specific failure modes in hospital construction, commercial buildings, and residential structures. Analysis identified deficiencies in connection design, inadequate wind load factors in existing building stock, and lack of hardened shelter availability as contributing factors to casualty rates. Post-event modifications to Missouri Building Code included enhanced anchoring requirements for critical facilities and incentives for residential safe room construction. The event entered meteorological and engineering literature as a reference case for urban tornado impact and emergency response system stress under extreme wind loading conditions.